This is the City of Six Moons. It's a board game that came out in 2024. It's packed in a rough around the edges, hand-hewn box. It contains 28 cards, a bunch of grey wooden discs, and a weird gritty playmat thing. It's published by Hollandspiel, discovered by Amabel Holland, and designed by
aliens.
You see, City of Six Moons presents itself as not a board game, but a found game, a collection of pieces that aren't just a playable game, but a relic of another civilization. How does it work? What is it for? That's for you to work out, because this thing, it's a game with no rules. That's right! This is a solo-only board game with a rulebook that is written entirely in an alien language. And that initial reveal upon sitting down to City of Six Moons is its most disarming and funny moment. You pop open the box, you dutifully unbag the components, you take the cards out of whatever you call this thing, and then, oh. This immediately throws you off. If you're the one who normally teaches games to your friends, this short circuits your brain. To have no idea how these pieces relate to each other, to have no idea how you should even arrange them on the table. It's fascinating to just watch how different people choose to arrange these objects with no instruction. Some just don't. Some people put them into distinct little piles using various forms of classification. Some put them like this, or this, or this. This is like a video game not just opening without a tutorial, but opening without anything. Just giving you a bunch of textures and models and going, go on, you've got all the parts. Make an experience. Have fun. And what an odd experience it is. It's odd because it's hard to succinctly point to what you're actually doing here. Are you learning this game? Are you playing this game? You're kind of doing a little bit of both. This is unlike anything else I've ever played or learned, or both, and I would recommend it to a very specific set of people. I'd recommend it to dweebs. After many, many hours of sitting by myself alone at night translating a fictitious alien rulebook, I think I might be a dweeb. But are you a dweeb? Maybe you're a dweeb. We'll try and find out throughout this video. There's a questionnaire at the end, get hyped. But before we start, we have a little bit of a problem facing us. To talk about this game in any kind of detail, to unpick its many layers of revelations, it's to engage in some pretty chunky spoilers. This is perhaps the very first game featured on Shut Up and Sit Down where setting up the game correctly is a spoiler. Showing how these pieces relate to each other is a revelation robbed. Initially, this video was pretty sprawling and long and thorough and spoiled a lot of the game, but the more I wrote, the more I realized that I just wasn't making something fit for purpose. Imagine if you covered Outer Wilds and showed that bit where you, and then afterwards the bit where you do that, and then finally you get him and you just go wow, 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 wow. You'd be robbing people of the discovery, and the discovery is the point. Okay, so how you play City of Six Moons might vary. It depends on your approach to tackling the puzzle. For me, I made a whole bunch of notes. Now, of course, these aren't my actual notes because they would have spoilers in them. These are fake notes that I made so I have something to film B-roll of. The things I do for you people. This first setup page holds a lot of clues, enough to build yourself a bare-bones playable game. This might mean add, this might mean multiply, this might mean delicious key lime pie. You gather enough clues to set up what you think this game is, and then you play, and you feel really, really silly.
So first I add the pie tokens, and once I get a stack of pies on the beastie, he eats the pies, and then I build an oven to bake more pies. Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
You'll play this game that you've mostly made up the rules to, and you'll feel really daft. It's a profoundly silly experience, and it does feel bracingly alien. How to even approach solving this is almost the hardest part, because it doesn't feel like anything else that's out there. It's weird. You will feel weird. But then you'll do something that feels extra weird, a kind of jarring wrongness, and you'll square that inconsistency within your rule set, imagine yourself a new one, and go again. This process repeats indefinitely and is replete with puzzles. You might be stuck on a very particular piece of iconography, but then you see it somewhere else used in a different context and oh, the puzzle pops open a little further, a little bead on the string to get you towards true understanding. And these problems can be detailed and fiddly. The finer points of exactly how these bits click together required a hell of a lot of head scratching and poring over all the notes I'd made, and honestly were some of the most frustrating moments I had with this game. But on the other hand, some of the problems can be so broad that they would routinely make me chuckle.
Am I meant to have a hand of cards? Is the box a part of the game? Should I be shuffling these?
This process is fascinating, and it only works as well as it does because this rulebook, despite looking utterly bonkers, is actually really consistent. And that consistency is what lets you find inconsistencies. So me and Matt will often have this very specific interaction that happens maybe about a quarter of a way through a game. We'll be playing along merrily, and then someone will go, you said that these kiosks get you 1 money when you take income. So why does this icon have an X on it? The iconography will give you a clue to a simple misunderstanding. It happens all the time. But sometimes one little clue leads to a whole tumble of revelations. Oh, if that means that, then this means this, and suddenly the game we were breezing through just got a whole lot tougher. You pull a little bit on the thread, you keep asking questions, and then suddenly the game metamorphoses on the table. And it's exactly the same phenomenon here. You'll be playing along understanding that one icon means one thing, and then you change that definition and boomf, back to the drawing board. This is alien, it's weird, but fundamentally, its solve is something that you do many hundreds and hundreds of times when you play board games a bit wrong, which we do all the time. We do it all the time. Yep, we do it all the time. It's a board game problem that your skills, acquired through many years of getting board games just a little bit wrong, are uniquely positioned to solve. You didn't know it, but everything you'd not learned has built to this point. And that's wicked. It's just really cool. And so eventually, through solving these problems, big and small, you will end up with a fully playable game at the end of it. Or at least what you think is a fully playable game, what you reckon is the full playable game. You will never really know because the designer has promised to never tell anybody.
Because they're an alien.
Because they're an alien! And at the end of it all, will you play that resulting solved game over and over again? No. As far as I can tell, it's fine. Or at least my version of it's fine. I could be missing something. But that's not really the point. I've been playing a whole lot of the blueprints recently, and there's a lot of similarities between this and that as to where the fun is found. Blueprints delights in testing hypotheses. You come up with a theory about how a particular something works in the game, you try it out, and you are often rewarded. I haven't seen the end, or the end, or the end of blueprints, but I don't think I need to. I don't really want to. I'm happy with these little cycles of hypothesis and result. It's intrinsically a rewarding process. And City of Six Moons is very similar. I'm not that compelled by the resulting game, but I was compelled by what slowly emerged from these components. And what does emerge is a very interesting reflection of the player. So you're going to use your own words to describe each of these game elements, and assigning those elements different names produces quite different games. There's a community wiki of sorts that has an itemized list of the components and symbols. It will tell you their true names. But they're not true, they've just been decided by the community, a community of board gamers. And so all of these pieces have board game ass names. And this is fascinating to me because my names for what these components are did not match what the community described them as. The same was true of a lot of other people who I played the game in parallel with. The tone of our game was completely different to what this wiki ascribes it to be because of how we named these components. Cheese Thief is a tremendously daft game where you hide a spongy piece of cheese under a cup. Players then wake up at night in random groups with just one of those players tasked with stealing the cheese, regardless of who else might be watching. Everyone argues, you accuse someone of being the cheese thief, you find out if they stole the cheese, they didn't, everyone laughs, it's daft, it's silly, it's fun. But the exact same mechanics transposed into a themeless void create something entirely different. Perhaps a little bit tense, maybe a little socially scary without the silliness of the cheese, the mice, the fact that it's called Cheese Thief. If you take all of that away, the raw mechanics could easily be confused with a Soviet spy thriller.
What exactly are you hiding?
When games are left blank like this, when their theme is absent, players bring their own ideas into the space and the game reflects them right back. The Cheese Thief example is a little bit silly, but for folks who don't like lying, for people who don't like hiding something, inert mechanics quickly bloom into something far more evocative, entirely coloured by the person playing. But simultaneously, it does feel as though there are intrinsic, undeniable verbs in games that push towards certain interpretations. No matter how much you remove the pandemic from pandemic, the core of an unstoppable proliferation is hard-baked into the experience. You can tear away every proper noun in John Company, but greed is still gonna have a seat at the table. My version of what it's saying will be very different to what the next person's version of it is saying because of the words we chose for all of its constituent parts. But there are some unshakable fundamentals that are common to every single person who translates this game. There are some aspects of the game that are immutable, permanent, because of the mechanics themselves. It's a fascinating treatise on mechanics and meaning that I'm not gonna get any further into, because now is as good a time as any to say if you're interested in any of this, you should go and watch some of Ambel's video essays. They're really, really good. Nobody is doing them like her. They are full of interesting insights and perspective. Go and check them out. Give them a little watch, maybe a little like, maybe even a little subscribe. And those videos, they're actually made by her, unlike this game, which she just found. It's lazy. It's lazy, honestly. Yeah. It's lazy. So you should definitely go and watch those essays. I really recommend the one on rules as play as a great place to start. But should you go and get yourself a copy of City of Six Moons? Well, here's that promised questionnaire. Welcome to this tremendously exciting City of Six Moons aptitude test. This carefully considered set of questions will tell you irrefutably and categorically if this game is right for you. Have you ever done one of these things? Do this one of these things. I'll wait. At what point did you think it was right to stop playing Animal Well? Does this mean anything to you? Does this? Or this? Basically, how committed to the search are you? Did you actually do that puzzle in question 2? Did you enjoy it? I've written a horrible secret in this little red notebook, and you can find out what that horrible secret is by clicking the link in the description. Dare you click it, or are you okay with never really knowing? How much quiet alone time do you have on average? Because you're gonna need a whole bunch to get to the bottom of this mystery. Like if you've got an excitable dog, a child, or even just a partner who is slightly concerned by how much time you're spending alone in the dark looking at this, those are all gonna be obstructions to the mystery. Are you getting kind of annoyed that this questionnaire isn't really a functional questionnaire at all and you actually really wanted to do a questionnaire? Because if that's the case, then this game is probably for you. Kwivke, Ulbur, Korpakabur, Gv, Zafrinter, Jewel, Ib Unergur, Eftug, Nizbig, Buzz, Fikner, Gvzerver, Gunexif. Do you have 35 United States dollars to buy a fantastic game from one of the most curious, relentless, and innovative designers out there right now? Yeah, you probably do. Live a little. And that is the end of this foray into this cool, weird game. Except it sort of isn't. To be honest with you here, I've spent a lot of time very close to this thing, and the script for this video has sort of accordioned itself from small to really big, to small again, to kinda big, and now ultimately to quite small. And because of that process, I don't really know what way is up anymore, and a lot of interesting stuff got left on the cutting room floor. I just wanted to get across one thing with the video. This game is rare, and it is fascinating. It conjured up a huge number of thoughts, and if you want to hear us explore those thoughts in a little more detail, then myself and Matt have done a companion podcast to this video where we talk about both this game and board game rules in general, how fascinating and weird they can often be. There's a whole section of this video that I couldn't get quite good enough to go in, and that's where we're going to explore that section. Check it out. It'll be out tomorrow at the time of this video's publication. You can find it where we put all of our podcasts. On Spotify, on the website. Give it a little listen. It's good. I like the podcast. It's fun. I give it 2 thumbs up. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.